Lighthouse, what'd you think?
You're not going to give it any kind of introduction?
No, no.
Okay.
I just want to start like that.
All right,
let's
that's
just
fine.
let's just get to it.
All right,
We
cool.
reviewed The Lighthouse, a new film by a director you've not heard of, who did a movie called The Witch, which was great. I was excited for this. The trailers look great. Here's a clip from it. These are making too much noise.
Watch us be your beast.
We saw it. What'd you think?
I mean, I thought, honestly, my thoughts, like, after, like, seeing it was just, that was fascinating. It was a wild journey from, going on this isolated little island with these two characters, and just the whole time, like, I was not really bored, which, with one setting and two characters, a lot of people might be adverse to watching something like that.
Mm-hmm. So I found the film, there's kind of an element of mystery that the trailer kind of sort of gives off, but the film is really about the descent into madness with these two guys. That's what the trailer shows, so that's what you're expecting, and that's what you get. It kind of goes the direction that you're expecting. They're at odds with each other, and then they're hugging each other, embracing each other, they're dancing together, and then they're screaming at each other, back and forth. It goes that way. But I think what holds this film up is the execution of it. It's a beautiful movie. I think it's amazing. Usually I hate like black and white. I think black and white is a horrible
Same.
cliche most of the time.
I absolutely can't stand black and white films. I don't think there's any black and white film that I've ever really tried to sit down and watch.
Wait, are you talking about all black and white films?
Yes. There's never been a black and white film that I have watched that I have enjoyed or not just went, oh, I lied, because whenever I took a history of cinema, like, those were actually fairly entertaining.
Okay, so,
but
black and white isn't a stylistic choice most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
With older movies, they have to be.
I know. Older movies that I saw, that it wasn't a stylistic choice. That was nice. But I'm talking about now, stylistically, I don't know of any black and white films that I've ever watched or known of that I enjoyed.
Yeah, I can't stand when people make, like, things and they make it black and white. But with this movie, so it's also not just black and white, also the aspect ratio for the film is, I don't know what the exact proportions are, but it's basically like a square. It's kind of like that. And so the whole style of the movie, from the look of it, the production, even the performances, the way they talk, like the lead actors, Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, their characters are given such interesting dialect. They speak English, and this is something that Robert Eggers does with, like, The Witch. With his, I feel like he's just going to be doing this with all of his movies, is something interesting about language. He really likes language. In The Witch, they spoke, it was a Puritan society. They spoke very, proper with that,
Like, to the point that I kind of needed subtitles for that one.
Yeah. So,
I was worried at first with The Lighthouse whenever it first started going. I was like, I really hope that I can understand what's going on. But the dialect, once you start watching it, and you're like, oh, okay, this is how the dialect's going to be going. Like, it's easy to get accustomed to.
It's like Mr. Krabs times 10.
Watch us spill your beans.
It's like the full-on, like sea dog kind of, like, fish legs dude on a boat, is that kind of guy. And Willem Dafoe, he looks so, like, the part, the beard, the outfit and stuff.
Yeah. Isn't there even a comment in the movie that you were talking about that he, like, makes a comment about how you're just a typical sea dog?
You mean within this movie?
Yes, within the movie.
Yeah, this movie pokes fun at itself. It's weird. This movie, and my main criticism with black and white movies nowadays is like, oh, it looks pretentious. They're making it black and white to be dramatic. This movie is so unpretentious in the best possible way. There's farts in it. There's like this like burps and just kind of crude humor. It's really funny. There's some great lines in here that I was just really laughing at. I think it's a really well written movie and so unpretentious. So like she said, it was poking fun at itself. Kind of referencing the fact that Willem Dafoe is kind of like a parody, and then Robert Pattinson, he's like the generic like good looking dude that has come here to find work and stuff, and just a few other things. So overall tone, music, sound design. We gotta talk about sound design. At least mention it.
Yes, because there was this sound cue or whatever that was really heavy in the beginning.
The
I don't
horn?
know. Yes, that it really like made me like almost irritated, kind of uneasy, but it really goes along with setting the tone for the rest of the film, having those moments with that noise.
I couldn't figure out what it was. I thought it was like a boat in the distance, but apparently
Yeah.
it's just a thing to be like, here's the lighthouse, and like calling out the ships, like this is where we are. So it's got to go off every now and then,
Yeah.
and it's like a constant presence in the film, and it's just it's.
And
it's,
I guess at some point I just started tuning it out because I don't remember it in the latter half of the film. I just remember it being very present at the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it was, I actually noticed that too, and I think it was a lot in the second half, but it was just kind of like, it just kind of melded with the rest of the sound.
And sound design, like there was a good attention to like different like scrapes and noises and like water like sloshing into like all the little things. Like whoever did the sound design for it, like they did a really good job.
It's beautiful. The movie, as we said, is about a constant descent into madness, but that is reflected so well in the sound, this constant building. It's the waves crashing and the wind and the creaking of the house they're in, all these different elements, but it's just getting worse and worse, and it's just harsher, and it's really starting to like take a toll on your senses, and it just becomes, it's like you're going mad with them, and it's so well done. And the score is so good. It's so atmospheric and so tense. My criticism is mainly with the ending. I mean, obviously it's like spoiler, but not just the ending, but just the whole finale in general. I thought kind of it was disappointing just because I talked about the descent into madness, but the way it plays out, and any kind of like big reveals that I'm expecting, like I'm like, what does this all mean? What is this going to come to? It didn't really satisfy me because it just kind of, it ended.
I mean, I enjoyed the ending. I do agree that it was like, that's part of my criticism is the ending, but not in that way, because I did enjoy the ending. I thought it was nice. What the? I did enjoy the ending, but I do have some problems with it that I'll go into after we rate it.
Yeah, okay, so I would give this, and I've debated between 8 and 9. I think from personal enjoyment, I would give it an 8. Personal enjoyment. I think it's a really entertaining film. I think it deserves a 9, though, and I think upon second viewing, I might give it a 9. I think my personal enjoyment isn't as high as it could be because of my own expectations for the ending. I think, like, I probably have a great memory with this movie, but I can't recall it because, like, when a movie... the ending is kind of what you remember. Like, if the first act is good, but the last 2 acts aren't good, like, that's kind of what you remember. So I definitely, like, it's a high grade. I remember watching the whole movie, being riveted the whole time, and just taking it. Oh, another thing. In the framing, another criticism I have, the framing was cutting off the top of their head. That was like one of my, like, why is this happening?
I feel like that added to it, though. While it was irritating, I think it did help, like, work on the nerves of the audience and kind of, like, throw into that descent into madness and irritations and things.
I was just losing my mind over it. But, no, yeah, and I think upon a second viewing, I'd probably give it a 9. But right now, I'm going to say 8.
I would give Lighthouse an 8 as well. I'm almost wanted to say an 8.5, but I'm just kind of like on the fence about that. I don't know if I'd give it a 9 just because, I mean, while I did enjoy it and it was beautifully like written and made and stuff like that, I just don't feel like it deserves my 9. I don't usually watch films more than once. Like, I just remember it too clearly to be able to want to enjoy it, but I would watch it again. Yes, I know, whatever. But I would watch it again, and I won't say the same that I might give it a 9, but I don't know, I feel like reserving 9s and 10s for, like, I don't know, something that just blows my mind.
I think this movie, the highlight for me is obviously, like, the performances, and I know that's not, like, that's kind of a hollow thing to say, like, well
I mean, but whenever it's only 2 characters on and no, like, scene changes and stuff, you kind of need, like, stellar performances to, like, pull this along.
No, you need good performances. These were, like, they had, like, huge monologues, like, they were talking directly, like, to another person, and the camera just holds on them for one big, long take. Both of them, back and forth.
Another criticism I have is actually, well, not criticism, something that bothered me was that on one of those monologues, like, just for like a moment, they were out of focus and it slowly came back into focus. Like,
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
We were talking about it right after we saw the movie, and we both remember that one shot. Like, I knew exactly what you were talking about. But no, these are some of the best performances I've seen in years. I'm serious.
Oh yeah, definitely. They really committed to their characters. It was, like I said, fascinating. Like that's my word for this film, is fascinating.
So let's go into spoilers now. But I honestly don't have much to say because I feel like I said everything.
One of my criticisms is probably the fantasy element. Like, it felt like it was okay, like, woven into the story, but I feel like it didn't go anywhere with it. Like, I kind of understood it because, you know, sailors and things like that, like, they always had, like, these,
fantasy element, what do you mean? Specify that. You
like
mean
mermaids, like there were mermaids.
his little visions.
Yeah, like visions. It's like they're going mad. So it's like the character Robert Pattinson plays. He starts like envisioning like, you know, sirens, like either, you know, laid up on the rocks or like out in the ocean unconscious or like in the water. And there's this one time where he's up in the lighthouse, like, wondering what Willem Dafoe's character's doing, and there's, like, tentacles that you see. And, like, it's not too much in there, but it's also enough to make you feel kind of almost confused, because it's like, what are they going to do with this? And at the end, they kind of tied it into, like, well, the visual that they give at the very end is very, like, akin to Prometheus and his punishment that he received.
Yeah, that doesn't mean like much to me. We've already talked about this.
Yeah, because
but, like,
you don't really know Greek mythology.
Yeah,
that
and
well.
even for someone who does, like, I think like it's good. Robert Eggers, I think his intention was just drawing from that to create the story, but I think he didn't intend for that to be like the climax, like the meaning of everything is we're making a Greek reference.
Yeah, and I agree, but it was such a nice little Easter egg. Like, I enjoyed it, but also like you said, you know, didn't like know what to like expect, and it didn't feel satisfying for you.
Because all these visions ultimately built up to like he's having sex with a mermaid because he misses women. Like he's you know, these things he's imagining. It doesn't really add up to anything that I found to be that special.
Yeah, that I agree with that. Like, while it as the whole movie, I enjoyed it, and I think those things were kind of integral to showing kind of a descent into madness. I do feel like they didn't build too much of anything.
Mm-hmm. This is one of those movies, the ride to get there, the execution of it, again, as we're talking with filmmaking and sound, the acting, like, it's all top notch. I think this movie, basically, my only issue with it is how, you know, the ending, how what it built to, but again, now that I'm expecting it, I think upon a second viewing, I think it'll be much better. And regardless of that, what I have already seen, having only seen it once, everything leading up to that was so good. Like, this is such a great movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually was kind of lukewarm on it right after we saw it, but that was mainly because I was thinking about the ending. But then I remembered, there's this other, like, hour, 30, 40 minutes, whatever, that I saw. That stuff was amazing.
But yeah, overall, great film. Like, I highly recommend go watch it.
Yeah.
Like, it's an experience, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But yeah, we had to drive an hour away to see it, and it was worth it. So you know, it's a small film. It's not playing around like in Statesboro or anything, but like if you can find it, go see it because it's great.
How long have we been on this rock? 5 weeks? 2 days? Help me to recollect.